Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Am I the only one that thinks HOA should not be legal? And it's very much wrong to have someone else decide things about your house that you own. But anyway, good work, OP. More right after a short pause. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. I intentionally planted weeds. My husband and I own a home in an HOA that's rent out. I'm a distant landlord with the home being in Florida and me being on the West Coast, but we pay for a lawn guy to come out and mow the lawn, weed, and spray the flower bed, as well as trim the hedges. There's another company I pay to fertilize the grass, spray for bugs, and of course treat it for any weed issues in the lawn. The home is well taken care of. I receive updates weekly on it to keep in tip-top shape for my tenant and because it's an HOA community. I received a notice yesterday because the property manager didn't like the plants that the home builder put in when the home was built 4 years ago and told me that I needed to remove the weeds. My lawn guy, being out there every Thursday, sent me pictures this morning confirming there's no weed issue in the flower beds or the lawn and sent me pictures. Pictures I forwarded on to the HOA property manager. They immediately closed the notice out, but recommended I replant the plants. I asked if I needed approval to do this, as I thought I did according to bylaws. Turns out that I do. So now to replant the flower beds that they want me to replant, I have to get approval to do so. I've sent in the request for approval with the statement, request to replant flower bed due to sad plants as requested by HOA property manager. So here is where we might be TA. We haven't picked out any new plants, but since they're complaining about a weed issue, there are protected plants in Florida that might otherwise be called a weed. And I kind of want to incorporate them into the new flower bed so that when they complain, I can direct them to the Attorney General due to their protected status. Edit. I've officially contacted a horticulturist to put together the flower beds using endangered species of plants, but ensuring that they'll work together so that they and the ecosystem it creates will thrive. Cross all your fingers and toes as this still has to go through approval. But I'm hoping with a professional plant person's help, they won't question the pics. Quick update. It took a bit of work, but we're officially approved by the ARB board to replant the flower beds. I only have to send in pictures of plant material, so that's what I did. No names, just pictures. The flowers being planted are milkweed, Florida protected, pentas, Florida native, and ixora. I wanted more protected plants, but I couldn't get those approved, so we went the route of a butterfly garden. And our second story. I'm selling my property and making my sister move out. I, 34-year-old female, own 2 properties. One my family and I live in, and the other is supposed to be an income property. In 2020, my sister and her husband moved into my other property. They lived in the house for a year rent-free as they were fixing minor things in the house. September of 2021, I asked them if they could pay $300 a month to help out with taxes and such on the property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. They're now currently $1,300 behind. I want to sell the property because it's only costing me money at this point. I allowed them to live there for more than 2 years at this point. My sister and her husband are both nurses and are fully capable of working. I don't think that's too much to ask. I might be the a-hole because I want to sell the second property, which would mean my sister will have to pay the new owner rent or find a new place to live. You were more than generous. Even $300 is a serious deal for rent. You have the right to ask for more rent and evict tenants for not paying rent. And our next story. Want to know my every move but don't want to respect my craft? Enjoy these 50 emails a day from someone who does. I recently started a senior cybersecurity position about 2 months ago for a global publicly traded company. Over the past 2 months, I've been trying to learn the landscape of the company and alerting my boss of any potential risks. Call it an initial risk assessment. I report to the CISO, but I work with all the IT, app dev, and business users. Whenever I find a potential risk, vulnerability, or loophole, I try to eliminate it by finding as much information because there may be something I don't know or someone I haven't spoken to who's handling it. Because my company's spread out all over the world, all our teams are also spread out. The director of IT infrastructure sits in Europe while my office is in the US. Let's just say this guy is a total control freak. But like I said, I don't work for him. 5 guys who do work for him, however, are in the same office I am, so I just go to those guys to ask for information I need to make my assessment. And then I escalate to my boss, who immediately orders remediation of risks that I find, i.e. orders the Europe guy to fix crap. This guy doesn't like it very much, so he calls me. Conversation went something like this. Hacker, me obviously, CF, control freak. CF, hey hacker, you need to think about who your job will impact before you create work for people. I don't like being blindsided. Me, fair enough, that's why I try to make sure, so cover all the grounds before I make proposals for remediation. CF, if there's information you seek, talk to me first before you talk to my team. If it's a real risk, we'll fix it without need for escalation. Me, fair enough, I'll give that method a try if that's what you want. Problem with this new relationship is this guy's too busy and gets too many emails which he can't keep up with, believes he runs a tight ship and can't get hacked. I also told my boss about this conversation, and he asked me to play along but copy him in all my emails. Fast forward a couple weeks, CF has dismissed every single issue I brought up, or sometimes just completely didn't reply because too busy for emails. So I did what any hacker would do. With permission from management, I hacked my way up to a domain controller, got some other admin accounts along the way. I did this over and over, taking different paths each time, including hacking devices we use in our conference rooms, which he claims are locked out. He or his team had no clue any of this happened, even though I performed the hacks from a non-image external computer on a VPN. I submitted a pen test report to my boss, itemizing all the techniques I used and all the vulnerabilities I exploited, vulnerabilities which I had mentioned to CF, but he dismissed out of hand. So my boss escalates to the CIO, who is CF's boss's boss. Anyway, crap rolls down from the ceiling. CF was livid. He was ordered to start a new project with allocated team and resources to follow up on my report, but not before we got on another call. CF, why you do what you do? English is not his first language. Me, told you this crap is real, it's what I'm hired to do. Find loopholes like this. CF, but why you no tell me? Me, I did tell you. You said it's not a real risk. CF, okay, but can you please let me know anything you're doing that concern my team at all times? He was begging. Me, okay. Problem was, CF's boss had also asked to be copied on every email I sent to CF, as has my boss. So now when I send him one email, he gets 3 from his boss asking him what his plan is, and 2 from my boss telling him why it's important. Also, whenever I need information from someone on his team, I have to copy him, which also means I have to copy his boss and my boss. It's a mess, and I realize it's a bad start to an otherwise great company. For someone who hates emails because he gets too much of them, he now gets almost 50 a day from or about me that he has to respond to. On the flip side, we're sort of becoming friends now, and he's working with me more and respecting my trade. So there's that. Maybe if I pass on good comments about him, we can go back to working directly without involving our bosses. And our last story. My neighbor built a swimming pool on my land. There's no clear boundary between my house and the neighboring houses in the form of a fence, but we have precise documents with designated territory. I'm engaged in industrial mountaineering and often leave my suburban house to work for a week and then rest at home for a week. Once when I arrived, tired and angry and hoping to relax with friends, have some beer and barbecue on my lawn, I accidentally noticed that my lawn was no longer there. Instead, there was a huge hole in a dug-up lawn, as well as traces of tracked vehicles on another part of my lawn. The place for beer and relaxation awaited me with a week of dirt and the best neighbors in the world. I immediately went to my neighbor to find out what nonsense he was up to. He's a rather short, bald guy with extra weight, resembling an angry Danny DeVito. He answered me without opening the door, through the grill, obviously afraid that I would throw him into the same hole he dug. He said that he left notice for me in my mailbox a week ago, just when I left for work. How convenient. And since there was no response for 5 working days, he decided that I agreed to the construction of the pool. He also said that if I don't leave, he'll call the cops on me. So I went to think about what to do and consulted with my friends. For the first 2 days, the construction did not continue. I think the neighbor was waiting for me to leave for the next shift for another week. On the 3rd night, while I was with friends playing board games until 6 in the morning, I have a solid alibi. So my neighbor had a 2006 Nissan Micra convertible, a hideous little car that suits my neighbor perfectly. Someone forgot to raise the roof at night, and apparently some teenagers released the handbrake and pushed the Micra straight into the hole. When I arrived in the morning, the police were there. It's a good thing I have an alibi because the neighbor called them to arrest me specifically. Playing Dungeons & Dragons all night can save you from many problems. So continuing the story, we have quite strange laws regarding land in our country, and my lawyer friend said it would be very difficult to punish the neighbor for the dug-up hole, so it's better for me to wait until he finishes building the pool and then try to sue him. But after someone threw the neighbor's car into the hole, he probably got scared that next time someone might push it into the pool. So he's not continuing the construction for now. I think next summer I'll build a proper fence and make a pool myself, because the kind neighbor is taking care of me and the pit is already ready. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.